I want Louie. You want Louie. At least ideally you want Louie. Why wouldn't you want Louie? What's wrong with you to not want Louie? Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates that I hope you'll check out. Louie is here. Louie practiced with the Penguins yesterday in Cranberry. Louie will practice again with them today at PPG Paints Arena. And I'm purposely making a big deal of this because it sure would be nice to see Louie Domingue be between the pipes tomorrow night against the Bruins. I don't believe that we will see that, but I believe that we should. Why I don't believe that we will is that Mike Sullivan, here we go with hockey culture stuff again. But Sullivan's not going to want to send the message to the backup who's been here all year long that the moment there was a legitimate emergency and Tristan Jarry being down, then all of a sudden Casey DeSmith was going to get leapfrogged from someone who spent most of the year in the minors. Great. So give DeSmith the one start. Make sure you're not beating him up or damaging his confidence in case he is the guy for the opening of the playoffs. But after that, get Louie out there. Back-to-back games this weekend in Detroit and in Philadelphia. You talk about two eminently winnable games. But me, I'd be starting Louie tomorrow night because I want to see him against a quality opponent that's headed to the playoffs and that could present the best possible test for you at this time. And that's what this should be. These final few games should be a test, pretty much an open competition to start game one. Let me make this part of my stance really, really clear. This is about game one and nothing else. This isn't about somebody's ego or pride or who's been here working the hardest right in front of everyone. This is about choosing the goaltender and setting the stage for the goaltender who gives you the best possible chance to win game one. It's not who might be the guy that you ride, who might be the one that's going to be in the best spot to take, games 2, 3, and 4. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Win game one. Jeff Zatkoff mentality. And those of you who've been following the team for more than a couple of years know exactly what I'm referring to. Jeff Zatkoff was the Penguins' number 3 goaltender in the 2017 playoffs. Got thrust into game one. Performed great. He won. Didn't take game 2. But by then, the Penguins had some reinforcements back. All that mattered was winning game 1. All that matters here is winning game 1. And what doesn't matter to me at all, and it really shouldn't matter to Mike Sullivan or anyone in management, is the feelings of Casey DeSmith. This portion of Daily Shot of Penguins is brought to you by the good people at the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank, where they're committed to providing food for all of our neighbors in need across Western Pennsylvania. They, in turn, need your help. Find out how $1 can be turned into 5 full meals for those in need. Visit pittsburghfoodbank.org. So Louie was at practice yesterday. Have I mentioned that yet? Yeah, Louie was at practice. He's going to be at the one today, too. He's available. He's here. No more salary cap restrictions. No more player movement restrictions. An unfortunate situation led to Louie being here, but he's here. So you don't have the way more awkward scenario that could have resulted where the Penguins would have gone through the regular season with Jarry and DeSmith, and Louie would have been the backup, and you demote DeSmith? No. But what you have is a situation where he's here and he can play and he can show you something. I've been kind of pounding this general point, not just about goaltending, for months now. The Penguins, by and large, have not allowed their younger players, notably Drew O'Connor, to make enough of an impression on them that they could knock out somebody who's unproductive from the lineup. Kasperi Kapanen. Well, that mindset needed to stop the moment the team was made aware of the broken bone in Jari's foot. This is crunch time. It's getting dark outside, meaning for the franchise. You can't just keep going out in the first round, and that applies as well, even when you have a legitimate excuse like losing your starting goaltender. But you forfeit the right to that excuse by not exhausting all options, by just saying, oh, well, Case is the guy. He's been here. We see him every day. He's the first on the rink, last off the rink, whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Win game one. Louie's here. Here's a little of what Louie had to say yesterday to reporters in Cranberry.
Well, I think since I signed with the team, I felt like it was a great opportunity for me. It didn't matter where I fell in the depth chart. At the end of the day, when I come up here, my job is to be ready to get in net when I'm called upon, and I've been working towards that down there and when I'm up here. So if they do want me in net, I'll be ready for my opportunity. And it's one of those things where you've been preparing your whole life for this type of opportunity. So my goal is just to help the team out as best as I can.
Awesome, great. Dude played one game, all right, the whole year. That 40-save masterpiece in San Jose. Teammates visibly loved him. Evgeny Malkin giving him that silly helmet that they pass around afterward and saying, we didn't play so great, but it's okay because we have Louie. Popular figure, even though he hasn't spent much time. You can kind of hear why in the soundbite that I just played. Wonderful. It's sitting right there in front of you. Play him. Let him show something. Let him impress you. Don't suppress that just because of some hockey culture thing. When we come back, just one question. Today's J1Q comes from Eileen, who asks, which players from Wilkes-Barre Scranton might be able to come up and contribute during the Stanley Cup playoffs? Well, obviously, Eileen, the first thing that has to happen is got to determine what's happening in the Calder Cup playoffs. But once game one makes it around, meaning game one of the Stanley Cup playoffs, to kind of reiterate at least a little from the opening segment, that's all that matters to the organization. So the players that they want to have in the lineup, they're going to have. Now, that said, I am not at all thinking that you're going to see some kind of wave. You might see some black aces if the Penguins were to go deep, meaning the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I'm having a hard time right now picturing, when I look at the lines, and most players right now on this roster are healthy, who would be taking somebody else's place. I'll make the case anew for Drew O'Connor. I think there's a lot to be gained by having his speed, size, and skill. He's got a scoring touch, too, in the lineup, and I don't particularly care all that much whether or not he can kill penalties. And I know that's been the management explanation for why he's been down, and it does matter, but there are enough guys on the current roster to do that. And if you were to scratch, say, Kasperi Kapanen in favor of O'Connor, you're not scratching a penalty killer anyway. And you're putting somebody into your top 9 who might actually be able to poke one home every once in a millennium. Other than O'Connor, I mean, you'd have to be looking at real emergency situations. There's not going to be a defenseman because the Penguins now have 8 guys with Nathan Boileau, who arrived in the trade from Winnipeg, back to practice yesterday for the first time. Mark Friedman would be, of course, the first sub, or Marcus Pettersson, depending on which of the two of them is on the outs on a given day. And up front, as much as I like what I've seen of Valtteri Puustinen, Philip Hollander, and a couple others, I'm not about to take somebody out for one of them at this stage of those young guys' careers and with the minimal experience that they got in the NHL this season, borderline non-existent. And yet again, here's why I wanted to see more of them during the season so that there would be more options. And I'm referring to before there was a cap crunch and a movement crunch. They needed to see these players. They'd already seen plenty enough of the ones they've already got. So no, Eileen, I don't think there's going to be any kind of influx except for Louie. Louie is going to represent the entirety of the Wilkes-Barre influx. Louie will be the one-man cavalry. Louie will win Game 1. You heard it here first. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll do another one of these tomorrow in advance of Louie's big return.